श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभत्वं सदैव श्रीदत्तास्मान् पाहि देवाधिदेव। भावग्राह्य क्लेशहारिं सुकीर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। त्वं नो माता त्वं पिता प्तोऽधिपस्त्वं त्राता योग क्षेमकृत् सद्गुरुस्त्वं। त्वं सर्वस्वं नो प्रभो विश्वमूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। पापं तापं व्याधिमादिं च दैन्यं भीतिं क्लेशं त्वं हराशुत्वदन्यम्। त्रातारण्यो वीक्ष ईशास्त्रजूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। नान्यस्त्राता न पिता न भर्ता त्वत्तो देव त्वं शरण्योकहर्ता। कुर्वात्रेयानुग्रहं पूर्णराते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। धर्मे प्रीतिं सन्मतिं देवभक्तिं सत्सङ्गाप्तिं देहि भुक्तिं च मुक्तिं। भावासक्तिं चाखिलानन्दमूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। श्लोकपञ्चकमेतद्यो लोकमङ्गलवर्धनम् प्रपठेन्नियतो भक्त्या श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत्। श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत्। श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत्। श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत्। श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभ चरितामृतम् Chapter 38 Explanation of Bagalamukhi worship. On the way, during our journey to Pithikapuram, we came across a sannyasi. He sat at the foot of an audumbara tree. His eyes were lustrous. By the time we approached, he asked us whether we were Shankara Bhatta and Dharma Gupta. We replied in the affirmative. He asked us to take rest for some time at the foot of that Audumbara tree. He questioned whether the leather sandals of Sripada Srivallabha were with us. We replied in the affirmative. He told us to give those leather sandals to him in exchange for the gem of Kala Naga, that is black cobra, with him. We agreed. I asked him, "Sir, when I had the intention of writing the divine biography of Srivaru, I am coming across devotees of Sripada who are narrating a particular incident that happened in a particular year. What might be the reason?" Then Sannyasi said, Sripada is a combined personification of Adi Bhairavi and Adi Brahma. He is a Kala Bhairava who commands time. He is a personification of time. Kala Purusha is not different from him. He is the form of Mahakala, the great time. He only knows when and what incident should take place. So, it is impossible for those who are captives of place and time to scent the shape of resolve of Sripada. His play with space and time is like a sport with ball. All living beings, their evolutionary process, natures of those living beings, their duties, their properties, their results, and their influences are under his control. He can turn a person who is proud that he is a great scholar into an ignorant one in a second. He can turn a great ignoramus into a great scholar well versed in Veda Vedangas. His is a rich yogic incarnation. To recognize him as an incarnated person and as verily Lord Datta, huge mass of sins has to be burnt down. Huge mass of punya has to fall into heaps and heaps. This is a general condition. However, if his mercy and benign looks are available, he would protect devotees surpassing these common conditions. He revels in sportive plays in each and every moment. For those who study the Charitaamritha of Sripada, development program occurs in a gradual way. Therefore, only 1 or 2 incidents in a year of his life were informed to you. They were also intimated to you in a gradual manner. All this is an integral part of his divine sport. It is a mistake to think that he incarnated only for the development of the globe. Many crores of universes are created, maintained, and destroyed every moment. The entire procedure of evolution in all these always remain in his hands. In the ponds of his divine eyes, crores of universes develop and get destroyed. This is his real nature. It is a great miracle that the Paratattva, which is really formless, and that Mahatattva, which is not known in what position it remains in the imperceptible state, incarnated in a human form in Pithikapuram. Where is the end to the godly games played after incarnation? Even Vedas described him to some length and remained silent. His knowledge is infinite. The knowledge of Vedas is limited. His strength is infinite. compassion infinite. He dwells in all countries and at all times. He is truth unto truth, wisdom unto wisdom, and infinitude much beyond infinitude. Disciplined and dedicated devotion of Bagalamukhi. In fact, I am a resident of Bengal. I am a devotee of Bagalamukhi. She is one among the Dasha Mahavidyas, those who want the destruction of enemies in individual form worship this Devi. The power of destruction of Parameshwara in its comprehensive form is also Bagala Devi. By the worship of this Devi, perfection of speech is achieved. It means that in case of those who lead a righteous life and observe unity of mind, speech, and action, whatever word they speak comes true. There are differences in speech known as para, pashyanti, and madhyama. In Satya Yuga, a terrible storm devastating the whole world broke out. Vishnu Bhagavan, seeing the plight of the living beings, became sad. When he undertook penance, goddess Sri Vidya Mahadevi emerged in the form of Bagalamukhi. She appeared before Shriman Narayana and restrained the storm which caused destruction. Some people consider her as Vaishnavi Devi. She was born during dead of night of Chaturdashi on Tuesday. She is the personification of the power of immobilization. The solar region stood steady only on account of her. In the same way, heaven also is kept in its place. She can grant comforts of this world as well as the other world. She obstructs the evil forces, raising havoc in the life of the spiritual seeker. Similarly, she immobilizes the blind and dark forces and grants protection to the progress of the aspirant. She is also called Badabamukhi, Jatavedamukhi, Ulkamukhi, Jwalamukhi, and Brihadbhanumukhi. In fact, Brahmadeva is the foremost one who practiced Bagala Mahavidya. Brahmadeva saw this Mahadevi in the form of Bala in Tirumala and adored her. He worshipped this goddess as Sri Venkateshwara with his consort Sri Padmavati and started the Brahmotsava celebrations. Brahmadeva taught this Mahavidya to Sanaka and other sages. Vishnu is the important one among those who worshipped Bagalamukhi after Brahma. Afterwards, Parashurama also worshipped this Devi. In my pilgrimages, I came to Pithikapuram. I visited Sri Kukkuteshwara Devasthanam. Then I saw a charming young boy. Then that boy said to me, "You? I know that you came from Bengal. From a very long time till recently, I am imprisoned in this temple under the name Swayambhu Datta. I am very much suffocated. I feel terribly sultry. So I wanted the priests to render me services after giving me cool treatment. They refused it. I said that I will go out because there was no other go. They said that instead of my going out, they would drive me out. Therefore, I came out a short while ago. I understood the inner meaning of his words. I understood that he was verily Lord Datta himself, and that worship and devotional services were not properly offered to him with due care and diligence. It was also clear that as he did not totally observe untouchability, and as orthodox Brahmins did not allow untouchables into the temple, he incarnated to personally save miserable, oppressed, and distressed ones. I requested him to give me the darshana in the form of my devotional deity and gratify me. That Supreme Lord smiled. I saw Shri Bagalamukhi. These skinny eyes cannot see that great brilliance. I fainted. Some kind people who were there arranged a carpet beneath a tree there and laid me down on it. In reality, I was not fainting. He gave me an experience of supreme bliss. I was like that for 8 days, enjoying that divine happiness. Heartbeat and pulse stopped. The citizens did not understand my position. The account of the sannyasi. My affair created an uproar in Pithikapuram. Propaganda was carried that some Brahmin sannyasi entered Sri Kukkuteshwara temple and visited self-manifested Datta, that he was a mean magician who tried to employ the witchcraft on Kukkuteshwara, self-existent Datta, but on account of the rigorous, disciplined conduct and regulations of the priests, the powers of Kukkuteshwara and self-existent Datta did not dwindle, and from the negative results that followed, the sannyasi fainted and lied with stoppage of pulse and heartbeat. Generally, rumors spread in a moment. People here are great experts in commenting truth as untruth, untruth as truth, and make others believe. Sripada Srivallabha, who incarnated amidst them, was much more dexterous than all of them. All the happenings here gave great entertainment for him. He is the one who rejoices eternally, a divine reveler. The importance of priests enhanced in Pithikapuram. A propaganda started that by their discipline and regulations, a low magician fainted and remained like a corpse, and by taking their help, all afflictions were removed, and by performing special pujas through them, much greater welfare would accrue. Pujas were commenced by priests. Liberal monetary gifts were given to the Brahmins. Suddenly, a worry started in the priests. They were worshipping with great exertion of body Swayambhu Datta and Kukkuteshwara. So, they were getting various kinds of Swayam Pakam, that is rice, vegetables donated to a Brahmin to cook and eat, and generous monetary donations. The money which they were keeping in the boxes in their houses was disappearing by the morning. They had to compulsorily conduct the worships for all according to their agreement. But the money earned was disappearing. Not only that, even though plenty of Swayam Pakams were given, and even though they ate in great quantities, They were feeling weak and exhausted. It was quite strange that weakness on one side and disappearance of money on other side was taking place. If they disclosed the truth about these happenings, they would face embarrassing situations, as it was widely propagated that the great priests were experts in mantra and tantra shastras. The fact that they were subjected to the influence of a yakshini, that is a female fiend, if breaks out, would degrade their honor. Therefore, the Brahmins kept these matters in their minds and did not reveal to anyone. They decided to confirm whether the fainted sannyasi was alive or dead, and if dead, to cremate him. They placed this matter before Bapanarya. Then Bapanarya, who examined the body of the sannyasi, announced that the sannyasi did not die or that he did not faint and that he was in a state of Samadhi. Some people thought that if the body of the sannyasi was cremated without caring for the word of Bapanarya, the evil effect of Yakshini would be eradicated. Some others said that when cremated, the powers of sannyasi would violently flourish and create many more calamities. Only by the peculiar resolve of Sri Sripada, my body was not cremated. After 8 days, I became normal. Sri Sripada, with his divine auspicious hands, touched my head. None of the Brahmins gave me alms. Boarding and lodging were provided in Sri Pithikapuram in the house of some shepherds. As I did not follow caste restrictions, all the shepherds became intimate to me. A woman among those shepherds was named Lakshmi. Her husband used to treat her with great love. He was not only the chief of all those shepherds, but was also acting as a judge to settle disputes in that caste. Though young in age, as he was educated, he was reading documents of properties, distributing them as written in those documents, attending to the drafting matters relating to lands. Therefore, his caste people elected him as their chief, regardless of his age. His wife Lakshmi was having the qualities of a devoted wife. She became a widow recently 4 or 5 years back. Since I know the greatness of Sri Sripada, I told Lakshmi that she would have well-being if she had some relationship with Sri Sripada. In the meanwhile, the cow in the house of Sri Painda Venkatappaya Shreshthi went dry. So, Lakshmi used to bring milk to the house of Sri Shreshthi. Sri Sripada used to come to the house of Sri Shreshthi often. Even before his asking, "Grandmother, I am hungry," Mahalakshmi Srimati Venkata Subbamamba used to heat the milk and was giving to Sri Sripada. In addition, she was giving cream and butter. When Lakshmi was bringing milk to that house, Sri Sripada said that he was very hungry. Srimati Venkata Subbamamba asked Lakshmi to bring some more milk. If she had to bring some more milk, milk in her house would get depleted. She had to drink watery buttermilk. Even then, Lakshmi, who was having the spirit of sacrifice, was selling to the house of Shri Shreshthi the milk which she kept for drinking and other consumption. Worship and other rituals went on in the temple for 10 days. Large sums of money were given to the Brahmins. However, a great void remained due to the influence of Yakshini. Swayam Pakams in large quantities were given, but Brahmins, instead of becoming stronger, decayed with weakness. The story of a Puranic Pandit. Then a Pandit, conducting discourses of Puranas, that is quasi-legendary historical and religious accounts, came to that town. Brahmins said that Puranas were meant for Shudras and not for superior Brahmins like them, and there were no Puranas not known to them. Shri Bapanarya, Shri Shreshthi and Shri Varma offered to give some money on their part to the Pandit. It was agreed that all Shudras would attend to the Purana Shravana, that is, hearing of Puranas. Not only that, it was announced through beat of the drum that Shudras can give monetary offerings to the Puranic Pandit. Some among the Brahmins suggested that half of the amount given by Shudras to the Pandit should be credited to the council of Brahmins, and other half can be taken by the Pandit. For that, Shri Bapanarya rebuked them, saying, "This is called Mushtilo Mushti Veera Mushti. You said that you would not even listen to the Purana. On the other hand, you are trying to snatch away the hard-earned money of the Pandit who is taking the trouble of giving the discourse. Unless you change your behavior and methods of thought, you have to experience severe punishments from the Kala Purusha in future." Meals were arranged for the Puranic Pandit in the house of Shri Bapanarya. Lakshmi used to give him boiled milk before commencement of Puranic discourse. After drinking that milk, he used to start the discourse of Purana. As Shri Sripada Srivallabha resided in the hearts of all, there was nothing which was not known to him. The Pandit was a great Jnani and a great Yogi. From his yogic power, he found the other forms assumed by his soul. He attracted the consciousness in those forms into himself. Then he found his soul in an infant aged 4 months in the house of a Brahmin zamindar. When he saw Lakshmi with yogic vision at the time of giving milk, he came to know that his soul will be the husband of Lakshmi in her next birth. It meant that the above infant will be the husband of Lakshmi in her next birth. All the masculine forms of Atma already merged in the Pandit, who was their essential basic nature. When he searched with his yogic insight about his Shakti forms, he understood that Lakshmi was the essential basic nature of all feminine forms. He noticed that in addition, all his feminine natures were merged in Lakshmi. Lakshmi was very much fond of her husband. She understood that the consciousness of her husband could not leave his old body. She found many a time that the form of her husband stood by her side. Cows were gifted to cross Viraja river. She knew that the mother cow, after taking her husband safely across Viraja river, took birth as a cow on the earth. The reason being, she saw mother cow also. The all-knowing Sripada knew that the consciousness of the husband of Lakshmi who crossed Viraja river remained merged in the Puranic Pandit who was the basic essential nature of the former. However, that Pandit came to Pithikapuram with a decision to complete his karmic bonds of indebtedness and to liquidate the karmas of the other forms of his soul through his yogic strength and to merge with Almighty. In case the Pandit merged in the Almighty like this, the infant of the Brahmin Zamindar, aged few months, will also die. If it happens like that, Lakshmi in her next birth has to live and die as a virgin, since that Brahmin boy who would have to be her husband in that birth had already died during her preceding birth. However, Lakshmi had an intense desire to have next birth. Therefore, after the fall of the mortal body and when regained state of consciousness, she should be born in a virtuous Brahmin family. Her husband, who was an infant of few months of the Zamindars, must grow up as an adult. Alas, Lakshmi was innocent. Without being aware of it, she followed Ardhanarishwara Yoga. All this was the sportive play of Sripada. The drama called Purana Pravachana, that is the discourse of Puranas, concluded. The Pandit accepted monetary gifts from Shudras. Lakshmi was born in the Shudra caste. As the Pandit accepted the connection with Shudras, he thought that his bonds of karma with Shudras was redeemed. He wanted to burn in Yogagni remaining bonds of karma, if any. Since he took meals in the house of Shri Bapanarya, he felt that his bond of indebtedness relating to his Brahmin birth would be severed. Shri Bapanarya went inside to give monetary honorarium to that great yogi. In the meanwhile, Lakshmi came to the house of Shri Bapanarya. As a cow in the house of Lakshmi delivered a calf, she brought milk for the preparation of a special cheese. Lakshmi had great devotion and care for Sripada. Bapanarya gave monetary honorarium to the Pandit. The Pandit sought permission to leave. Sripada said, "All people gave you leave. Only 2 persons refused to give you permission to leave. I am well versed in the accounts of traders. Unless it is finally settled how much debt is there, how much is repaid, and such other things, you cannot stir out from Pithikapuram." The Brahmin was agitated. He heard previously that Sripada Srivallabha was an incarnation of Datta. Sripada said, "My child, this Lakshmi is innocent. She lives only for few years. What should become of her after death? You were born as a Brahmin in the form of wisdom and as a cowherd in the form of ignorance. She shared weal and woe with you, having that form. The mother cow which ferried your consciousness across the river Viraja, when you were in the form of cowherd, returned freely to the earth. This lady retained with her the consciousness of her husband with the fire of her love. This consciousness, which is in the form of a shepherdess, cannot change into the Brahmanic consciousness with the fall of her body after few years. Can it change? She is a Brahmin in the shape of a shepherdess. You are a cowherd or shepherd in the shape of a Brahmin. I know very well about your karmic relationships. I am a personification of Padmavati Devi, and I bless this lady who is taking birth in future as a Brahmani by fixing a golden mark on her forehead. I created a Mangalya also for her and preserved it in Hiranyaloka. When the connection with gold is snapped, the connection of the wife with husband is also snapped. Therefore, we preserved safely her golden auspicious wedding ornaments in Hiranyaloka. When your consciousness, which is at present encased in an infant of few months, is withdrawn, any giant may take possession of the body and indulge in undesirable acts. Therefore, you receive a donation of gold from this woman and retain the bond of karma. In the next birth, may you live as ideal couple and as my devotees and be liberated. Saying so, Sripada blessed them. My dear children, in that way, the Brahmin infant aged few months will grow up. Lakshmi will take birth in a Brahmin family and become his wife. The sportive plays of Sri Sripada are indeed wonderful. Victory! Victory to Sri Sripada Srivallabha! Here ends the 38th chapter of Sripada Srivallabha Charitaamritham.
नरसोबाचा वाडीला जाऊ चला हो, गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया. नरसोबाचा वाडीला जाऊ चला हो, गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया. दत्त माझा मी दत्ताचा, दत्त माझा मी दत्ताचा. युग युगांचा पावन जोगी दत्त रूपातून दिसतो. युग युगांचा पावन जोगी दत्त रूपातून दिसतो. अनसूयेचा पुत्र लौकिक जगकाव्या पुनवुरतो. अनसूयेचा पुत्र लौकिक जगकाव्या पुनवुरतो. तन मन पुन तन मन पुन तन मन पुन दत्त गुण गाऊया. गुरुचरणी चक्र हे हाती घेऊन विश्वाला उद्धरितो शंख चक्र हे हाती घेऊन विश्वाला उद्धरितो पायी खडावा शिरी जटाय रूपनित्य हे स्मरतो पायी खडावा शिरी जटाय रूपनित्य हे स्मरतो लीनमनाने करू स्मरण हो गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया लीनमनाने करू स्मरण हो गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया दत्त माझा मी दत्ताचा दत्त माझा मी दत्ताचा ध्यान लागता कृष्ण काठी ब्रह्मतेज अवतरले ध्यान लागता कृष्ण काठी ब्रह्मतेज अवतरले श्री क्षेत्रीय विश्वच अवघे दत्त रूपातून दिसले श्री क्षेत्रीय विश्वच अवघे दत्त रूपातून दिसले मुक्ति से द्वार है मुक्ति से द्वार है मुक्ति से द्वार है लाभावे म्हणूनी गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया मुक्ति से द्वार है लाभावे म्हणूनी गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया नरसोबाच्या वाडीला जाऊ चला हो गुरुचरणी धन्य होऊया